Het-Heru, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer. This is Kasank Ma Keparu with another live video for you. And in this video, I want to talk about how to deal with unexpected obstacles that come your way. Now, the first thing I want you to do is to hit the like button at the bottom of this video. And if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live or upload recorded video. And also consider becoming a Patreon supporter. You can do so for as little as $1 or $5 per month. You get access to exclusive videos on divination, how to perform a ritual, meditation, hypnosis, the works. So again, it's only $1 or $5 per month. And also don't forget, we have free ebooks that will expand on the teachings that I'm giving you here today, and they'll get more into the esoteric, the spiritual. So just click on those links below, and those ebooks, again, are free. And as a reminder, I'm coming out with my new ebook, the new Kepara Ankh, which talks about manipulating reality, the master key to manipulating reality. That'll be out on March 25th. It's going to be an awesome book. If you don't have a copy of it, I suggest you get one soon. And if you do have a copy of it, I will be sending you an updated copy that's going to be pimped out. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. So look out for that. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty and talk about some things. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my phone here trying to fix a couple of things. Let's talk about this, obstacles that come your way in life, and you know why basically it's important to learn how to deal with them. Because I remember early on, when I was starting out as a magi, I was getting my butt kicked by life. Life was coming and just like hit me there, hit me everywhere, tossing me around. And that's when I started to say there has to be a way of dealing with these things that happen. And I also looked as upon having a more esoteric meaning or a metaphysical meaning behind these things that were happening. And of course, this is what Vadim Zelam calls a pendulum. And the pendulum was trying to get my attention so that it could push me in the direction of pursuing spiritual endeavors. So it turned out to be a good thing. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So a lot of times in life, when things start to happen to you, we incorrectly label something as bad or as negative when we don't have a proper perspective on things. What do I mean by that? There's two divisions to the way you think. There's a lower mind and there's a higher mind. The lower mind comes out of Sebek, which is very limited thinking. Sebek thinks in terms of separation, separating things, labeling and defining those. Then the higher mind, which you get up into like Ma'at and Tahuti, the higher mind sees the whole picture of life, everything down the road that you can't see. And although something in the immediate here and now may seem difficult and challenging, that thing could very well flip on you and become a very positive thing that you never considered could be positive, you know? So I want you to think about that. That's very important, that we don't jump and have this reactions to where we're suddenly going to codify something. What I mean by that, I mean by place that label on it. Oh, this experience is bad. This experience is good. You don't know that. You can't judge that because you can't see the whole picture. Your higher mind sees the whole picture, but you're not connected to your higher mind yet. All right? It's when you pursue the path of spiritual excellence and spiritual endeavors that you will then attune yourself to the right frequency so that you'll be vibrating on that frequency to access the higher mind. But until that point, or until you can become an initiate and get to that point, you're going to be apt to label things as good, bad, and so on and so forth. And you have to be very careful with that, you know. So I talked about this many times before about how I would say to my minister, my life is crap, it's terrible. And he would say, are you dead yet? And I would say, no. He says, so your life is not crap, it's not bad. You have a long way to go. And as I started to get older and wiser, I started to realize that he was right, that life was teaching me something, and that it was preparing me for when I get older to deal with these things. So now when life throws a curveball, I'm like, I'll handle it. I'll handle it. It doesn't freak me out as it used to, you know, when I was younger, because everything when you're young is a heart attack, you know. There were times when I remember saying to myself, oh, this girl dumped me, it's over, my life is over. And then you get older and you're like, why was I interested in that person in the first place? You know what I mean? So you have to think about it that way. And when you look at the lower trigram of the tree of life, it's composed of a Set, Sebek, and Het-Heru. And that lower trigram is really the early stages of life. Because in those early stages of life, you have Het-Heru, which is congregative thinking, also the aspect of joy and the imagination. And that's when a lot of that kicks in when you're younger. Then Sebek, which is the labeling and defining things. And also the belief system. You're kind of like going through life and kind of solidifying your beliefs, and then there's a Set. And she deals with the idea of like meditation, trance state. So that lower trigram is what we're focused on. But as we get older, we go up to the upper trigram and we start to see Heru, Harukahuti, and Ma'at. And then as we go into our older age and become elders or sages, hopefully we visit Sekert, Tahuti, and Oser. All right, so that's basically your journey on the trigram. So keep that in mind. That's very important. But going back to what I was saying is, as a magi, you should not have any surprises, meaning that you should be doing your readings on a weekly basis at least. And those readings should be revealing to you things that are coming your way, so you will know how to prepare for them. And the way that we prepare for them in spiritual culture is to do our rituals, do our meditations, because what we're doing essentially is designing the life that we want for us. And many times the historians and the archaeologists, when they went into our ancient tombs and temples, they saw that we were very infatuated with custom or doing our rituals and our meditations. And in fact, with us, everything was a ritual and a meditation. And the reason for this was because we looked at life and said, this is something that we as God men and God women have direct control over if we are vigilant, if we are doing our rituals, if we are focusing on our spiritual development. The inside is a reflection of what happens on the outside, as they say, as above, so below. So if you are focusing on what you want to attract in your meditation, then it should be coming to you. You should be attracting that in the physical realm, in the physical world, the 3D world. But the problem that we get into is that we ignore these powers that we have. We forsake them. And then we just go about our daily lives. And then when something hits us, then we start the labeling process. Oh, well, I was minding my own business, walking down the street, I get hit by this car. So that was bad. But then suddenly the judge rules in your favor and you get $1 million settlement off getting hit by that car. And you have no real health issues or long-term health issues from that accident. So actually, the winning $1 million and getting away with good health, it actually was a very positive experience for you then, wasn't it? But in the immediate interim, and right here and now, you looked at it as upon a very negative thing. You probably cursed the guy out and hit you with the car. So what I want you to understand is there's two sides to a coin. You have to really get into that. And the thing is, you cannot manifest something if you don't have a definition or an emotion tied to it. So when you learn and you study, especially from the great I-Ching oracle, the Chinese oracle, the I-Ching, and it tells us that everything serves to further. No matter what happens in your life, it's going to further you. But more importantly, nothing has a quality in and of itself. So you go around labeling things and saying this is that. She's beautiful. He's handsome. He's happy. He's sad. When you go around doing those things, you create within yourself the potential to manifest those things within your own life. And that's something you don't want to do. You don't want to go down that road. You don't want to start adapting to the belief system, which tells you that certain things are bad. And then suddenly you find yourself going through those very things. Why? Because you labeled them as bad. And then the label had you react to it in an emotional way. You had an emotional reaction to it because you labeled it as bad, and therefore you became very fearful of it. You understand? Every emotion that you harbor, that's a strong emotion, is going to manifest in some way, shape, or form in the 3D world, the world of duality. Which is why it's very careful that you don't attach yourself to a definition. Try as best as possible to be consciousness in the observer. You are observing life, which is the all-seeing eye, or some people call it the ujat, the all-seeing eye. And that represents consciousness, because that's essentially who and what you are is consciousness, immaterial. So try to go through life being the observer, but not placing meaning on things, different types of meanings. Because when you do that, then you have the potential of manifesting those. So be very, very careful. This is why you go through an initiation process. If you go up the tree of life, the Kemetic tree of life, or the Port Neteru, or the Ogad, and you come down and you go back up again, because you are studying the truisms or the affirmations of each deity on the tree of life, such as Het-Heru says, joy is in the journey and not the destination. The reason why you're studying that truism, so you can replace the core beliefs that you've been indoctrinated into by social engineering. You want to purge yourself of those ideas to adapt a new framework, a new paradigm of thinking. Because when you adapt the paradigm of thinking on the tree of life,
powering off,
that is being God. Because those affirmations on the tree of life are who you truly are. You understand? When you're saying to who these, well, let's say Amen, that affirmation of Amen. I have a peace within me that nothing can disturb. So that peace within you that nothing can disturb, if you truly believe that, you accept it at the core of your being, no matter what comes along, you're always going to be centered in that peace. Then when you go to Tahuti's truism and he says nothing has a quality in and of itself, then you know that what one man's tea is another man's poison. So in other words, it is not the quality that exists within the thing itself. There's no inherent quality in that thing. It's you imparting a quality to it. So therefore, it's really all these things that you see are an illusion. So keep that in mind as you're dealing with the tree. And right here we have, this is Heru. He has a sun disk on him. And the reason why I bring that up, because when you're dealing with belief systems and you're dealing with obstacles, you have to exercise what we call your Meneb and Ankh Ma'at. This is Meneb for short. It's stilling the heart. So the heart doesn't have an emotional reaction. When the heart is beating faster and faster, that means you're having an emotional reaction to something. And you want to keep the heart still to live truth. That's Ma'at's saying, keeping your heart still to live truth. You have to get to the point to be centered to where when things happen, you go, okay, I'll deal with it. Okay, I'll deal with it. Now, I'm not telling you that when these obstacles or bad things happen, that you ignore them or don't recognize their presence. You must recognize their presence. You must deal with them. But you can deal with them from a framework of peace and not panic and get all distraught over something. And the reason why I bring this up is because, you know, this morning I got up very early. I went to the doctor at 7 a.m. in the morning. And I'm sitting there in the doctor's office, and he comes with his nurse, and they're doing all these tests on me. And then he freaks out and he looks at me and he says, "You got worse." He says, "We have to do something immediately." And he's like, "I need you to stop working, stop doing what you're doing, because you're not getting better, you're getting worse, you're going in the opposite direction." And he was a little bit jarred by my reaction. And I was like, "Okay, I'll handle it. I'll handle it." He goes, "No, I'm serious. You have to do something." I said, "No, I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it," you know? So he's used to patients who are operating out of that sahu aspect, that animal aspect, to where they start to get nervous and freak out and say, am I dying? What's wrong? You know? So he basically went over what the problem was. And I just said, "Yeah, okay, I understand. I will tackle it," you know? So I want you to understand that even faced with something like that, I know enough just from my years in spiritual culture that, you know what, I can fix it. If I can't fix it, what's the worst that's going to happen to me? I'm going to incarnate and incarnate and incarnate. I am an infinite being. I'm going to have many, many lives. Now, it's easier said than done to practice, of course, but it is the truth of your existence. So take comfort in that. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not in pain. I'm in extreme amount of pain. You know what I mean? But I've learned also through trance hypnosis to control that pain, you know? And sometimes people will notice when I'm in pain because my voice will crack. And that's an indication that, oh, he's going through pain. But I don't feel it because I'm putting myself into a trance state to where I ignore the pain. I've learned to do that. And I've also learned to say, okay, there's a problem, I'll deal with it. I'm not going to blow up over it. Now, I'm not perfect. Of course, there are situations that will blindside me and that will get me, and I will be like, what? Where did that come from? Why is that happening? I mean, I'll get to that'll happen sometimes. And that's one of the things I want to touch on is that you can't you can't prevent everything from coming your way. Life will have obstacles. You can try and cover all the bases, but then something will come and blindside you. And I remember I was talking to a good friend and I was telling her, I said, that's the one thing that irks me. Like, I'm a control freak. I have to control things, which is why I do a lot of rituals and stuff, because I want to make sure that things go well in my life. And as I said before, our ancestors, they were ritual fanatics. They made sure they did their rituals because they were looking to have a prosperous life, which is why Kemet, or Egypt, was a very prosperous civilization that existed for thousands of years. What do we hear in America going on 500 years and still we're in the midst of calamity and strife and political unrest and economic, problems. But in Kemet and Egypt, that civilization thrived for thousands of years. Even when it was taken over by people like the Hyksos, they were some of the worst rulers, meaning that they, subjugated the people, tortured them, things like that. But the people being of spirituality, that was their highest goal, were able to get through all of that. And whatever's going on in your life, you'll get through it. So don't worry about it. You'll be okay. Trust yourself. And what I trust is my magic. I say, well, I know how to sit down here and do a ritual. I know how to invoke a spirit and send that spirit on a mission to deal with the situation on my behalf. So I'm not going to get too upset about it. I'm not going to get too worried about it. And as I said, you should be doing your readings because as a magi, you can predict the future. You can see the future. So there's no reason for you not to know what's coming your way the next week and the week after that. Now, the trick about that is if the oracle reveals what you perceive to be a bad thing coming your way, you're going to get stressed out and, wish you never did the reading. I do understand that. But that's an exercise too, and I'm in maintaining peace in the face of that news. Okay. So when I told the doctor, I promised him I would take some steps, which is going to see another doctor, and he made that appointment because he probably knew I wasn't going to make the appointment. He says, I'm going to call the doctor and we're going to make an appointment for you because you got to go see him because this is serious. I'm like, I know, I get you. It's serious. I get you. He goes, no, Kazak, it's serious. I said, no, I get you. It's serious. All right. So when you start to work with the tree of life and the meditation and you get to a certain level, you'll be able to smile in the face of adversity. You'll be able to deal with it. Now, I just want to read a little bit of the passage from the I-Ching on opposition or obstacles, because it's the 38th hexagram and it really talks about a lot. It says, when people live in opposition and estrangement, they cannot carry out a great undertaking in common. Their points of view diverge too widely. In circumstances, one should above all not proceed briskly, for that would only increase the existing opposition. Instead, one should limit oneself to producing gradual effects in small matters. And that's a really important thing to know, because when you're facing obstacles and opposition, you have to understand that you can only deal with them in small incremental doses. Is that what I'm trying to say? Meaning take things a step at a time. Don't try to handle it in one big endeavor. It's not going to work. Here, success can still be expected, but the situation is such that opposition does not preclude all agreement. In general, oppositions appear as an obstruction, but when it represents polarity within a comprehensive whole, it has also its useful and important function. The opposition of heaven and earth, spirit and nature, man and woman, when reconciled, bring about the creation and reproduction of life. That's interesting. In the world of visible things, the principle of opposites makes possible the differentiation by categories through which order is brought into the world. So there we're talking about the individualization of things and celebrating those opposites, celebrating those things which really are complements, understanding that when you have these good times, that there will be bad times. All right. And you have to keep yourself centered and not become too elated and too joyful off good times, and keep yourself centered and not allow yourself to get emotionally wrapped up or invested in the good times or the bad times. Stay centered, because everything passes. And as I've told many of you, when I had the celebration, when we completed my feature film, Everybody was celebrating. They had a party, and I was very quiet. And they were like, "Why are you so quiet?" I'm like, "Hey, I finished the film. It's a good thing, but I'm not going to get too crazy about it." A year after that, we went to awards ceremony. I won an award for screenwriting. Everybody was going crazy, drinking, having fun because the other filmmakers had won awards, so they attended the awards party. I was still very quiet and still, and I wasn't allowing myself to get up and take part in all of the jubilee. You know, I'm like, oh wow, getting drunk, having fun, because I know in the end it's not. That's not the most important thing. What's the most important thing in your life is your spirituality, and that's what you have to keep in mind. Let me greet the Magi's that are in the conference. In the chat box. Aset Het-Heru, Heru, Namaste, Balance and Harmony, Het-Heru, Shana, Het-Heru, Color of Dreams, Namaste. Now, if you want to, I like to do the question. You know, I'm here for you guys. If you guys are interested in asking any questions, I would love to, you know, like answer any questions you guys may have dealing with this subject matter or something very similar in scope if you have. So what I want to do is put a call-in number for you guys so you can call in and let's chat. Let's talk about any situations that you're having in your life and how you can deal with it from a magical or, let's say, magical or a spiritual perspective, that you can utilize this thing to make you a better person. And the way I tend to deal with a lot of stuff, or I prescribe dealing with some things, is to go dark. And that means when you're doing your rituals, you're doing your meditations, try not to envision the worst case scenarios. Try not to think about the things that can happen or the things that can go wrong. Because when you do that, then what happens is you inadvertently, it's like there's an elephant in the room and people are saying, don't pay attention to that elephant in the room. Well, how can you not pay attention to the elephant? You know what I mean? So by nature of you trying not to, you don't want to get to a point where you're trying so hard not to think about the bad things that could happen that you actually think so much about them that you actually manifest them, is what I guess I'm trying to say. But the idea of going dark is to totally purge yourself of what the negative outcomes could be for you, you know, because you don't want to entertain that. You want to see a world that you create within your mind's eye that is very positive and full of prosperity for you. And the more you focus on that, the more it expands, it becomes your reality. Just like if you are a person who accepts a deep core belief, whether in meditation or hypnosis, that you are lucky, that luck will come your way. You will be a lucky person, whether you like it or not, because you are focusing on that. And the same holds true if you feel you're very unlucky or that you tend to have a lot of accidents. You know what I mean? You fall down the stairs, you walk in the street, you get hit by a car, a satellite from outer space hits you. If you think you have bad luck, you as God man, God woman, you will manifest that because you're dealing with an energetic field. And this field is intelligent and it obeys your command, whether you realize it or not. When you say something, this is part of neuro-linguistic programming, when you say something, it is actually taken into the subconscious mind as a command. And it commands the spirit to act in a certain way or to manifest a certain thing. And this is how a lot of obstacles come our way, because we are constantly placing limitations upon our own power and say, I can't overcome that. I can never do that. I can never achieve that. And therefore, those obstacles surface to keep us from getting that degree, to keep us from starting that business, and keep us from getting that mate. So we have to learn to free ourselves of those negative ideas and negative beliefs, because as God men and God women, we are free. And I don't just mean by free will, which is true, but you are free to create anything that you wish to. The only limitation that's placed upon you is your destiny. You have to go according to what's in your destiny. So if your destiny says you won't be rich in this lifetime, you can try all manner of magic you want. You're not going to attract wealth. It's not going to happen, because God needs to experience what it's like to live in poverty, unfortunately, and that's your destiny. You have to deal with that. But again, is that really a bad thing? Not really, because you have a men within you, a peace that cannot be disturbed, because that peace can center you and make you a very peaceful spiritual person without all of the material possessions in this material world. Does that make sense? Sekhmet Het-Heru, how are you? So this is how we work on things blindsiding us, coming at us in life, that creates obstacles. We turn back inward to two things. Number one, we turn back into the peace that's within us. The second thing is we work our magic. We understand that we are magicians. We are connected to source, and therefore we contain the same power of source, not in quantity, but in quality. All right, we're not as big and expansive as Het-Heru, but we have the same quality and the power that Het-Heru has. So think about that you are created in God's likeness. And if that is so, don't you have the power of God within you? If you want that loan for that business, can't you manifest that with the right mantra? You see what I'm saying? So turn inward and fall back on those things that can support you, because in the end, a job, friends, family members, they'll let you down. They come and go. But the spirit within you, which we call the indwelling intelligence, Oser, is always with you and will never let you down. And that power will always be with you. And no one can ever take that power away. You may at times choose not to use it. You may at times choose to ignore it, because we're taught in this society not to rely upon it, that it's all hocus pocus, is mumbo jumbo. But it is real. It's a power that is real and it's within you. And this is why thousands of years ago, our ancient ancestors discovered that there was a power within us. They codified it. They called it Heru, or let's say Oser, because Heru is the son of Oser, the son of God, which is why Heru adorns the sun, because he is the son of God, the son of Oser and Aset. You see what I'm saying there? And your will, keeping that heart still, can get you through a lot of things in life, can get you to be centered, so that you can exercise your spiritual power, so that you don't have to be emotional, that you don't have to freak out, because the design of this world is to make you crazy. That's what it's here for. That's what the ruling elite has created. They have done so much devastation on the planet to create an environment that stresses you out, creates problems. Problems are not necessarily your own, but you're going to have to deal with them. And that tosses you here and there to where you can't have a moment of peace. And you'll see this. But when you tap into your own spiritual power, then that's the game changer. They don't want you doing that. Especially things like the Christian church, because what do you need their savior for then? If you can tap into your own power. You don't need their minister, you don't need their savior, because you know that you are God. You know, you don't need a charlatan or an imposter, you know. So, by the way, if you guys haven't gotten the Success Water, go to Waters of Nun. This is my commercial. And this water is has the water molecules are charged to attract success. So get your water now. I think it's five bottles of water for $24.95. All right. So get that. So anyway, with that said, I just want to encourage you to pursue a life of spirituality. You'll live an amazing life. You'll see amazing things. You'll experience amazing things. And it'll make your life a lot less hectic and stressful, because you know that at any time, whatever comes along, you can address it and deal with it like our ancestors did, you know? With that said, so let me see if the Magi's got any questions. Okay, no, I think you Magi's are great. You guys are awesome, man. You guys are awesome. I want to thank you for tuning in to this broadcast. Yeah, you guys are great. So anyway, this is Kasank Ma Keperu, son of Tehuti and Ma'at. My aunt is the beautiful goddess Het-Heru, goddess of love and joy. Until my next broadcast, peace and blessings, Amen Ra.